Oh, thank you. Not me, the wine, of course. The challenge with the vintage 2024 started during the flowering period, in which the weather was cold and wet and didn't allow a good flowering stadium. At this time, we lost a part of the yield and completed, unfortunately, after by a very rainy period during the harvest and some storm during harvest too, which obliged us to harvest, to pick up grapes, not like we wanted, like we chose the date, you know, but like the weather was, and sometimes we were obliged to harvest some different places because the weather was not very good and because the grapes was fragile, especially for the white and for the botrytis presence on the Chardonnay, of course. With the Pinot Noir, it was not a problem because thanks to the selection from the vineyard and the sorting table at the winery, usually now we can vinify a very beautiful grapes. The most difficult competition and challenge for the Pinot Noir is to bring and to pick up a wine, grapes ripe with a good correspondence, a good coincidence between the physiological maturity and phenolical maturity. If you arrive to mix together, it's a good maturity and it's time to go. And in 2024, it was so difficult to reach this link between these two types of fermentations. And the last thing, in one solution to overcome this difficulty in 2024 was to use the memory of the water, but the water which comes from the ground and the underground, in which I tried to use the memory of the sea which existed in Burgundy 250 million years ago, when the terroir was under the sea, and when the terroir from today was only some seabed by the past. In 2024, it was exactly what I looked for. Not the quality of the fruit, because we had the quality of the fruit, but the quality of this memory from the ground and the underground, which was by the past some seabed first of all. With the 2023, it's totally different, because the quality of the grapes, the quality of the fruit came from the luminosity of the sun, came from the insolation of the shine. Luminosity was very, very important in 2023, and it was maybe easier to produce and to vinify in 2023, even if we needed to manage the level of alcohol, because the physiological maturity was very high compared to the phenolical maturity. So I didn't use the water to create a link between these both, but I used the luminosity from the sun to create this link between these two maturities. And the most difficult thing in 2023 was to preserve the freshness of the wine, especially in white. And for that, I didn't use the acidity, which was leaky, yes, in 2023, but I use the quality of the skin, because in 2023, the skin from grapes, from the fruit, was more thicker than 2024, and I use a bitterness touch from the skin of the fruit to replace the lack of acidity and to try to maintain this idea of freshness in white wine. Voilà, this is of course, my French explanations could be more fluent, but in English it's more difficult to explain. But in the both vintage, the most important thing was to use the memory of the water to give to the wine, to create a link between the mineral energy from the soil, the astral energy from the planets, the vegetal energy from the vegetals, from the cepage, and the animal energy from all animals, then they can live, die, or just cross the vineyard. When you arrive to link these four energies together, you have this kind of wine from Domaine de Villaine, very fluent, very digestible, very, you can feel the vibration of, you can feel the energy of the fruit and the vibration of the terroir, which is very, very important, of course. I think opposite to 2023, if you open the bottle of 2024 in few years, the mineral expression of the terroir, which was very present when the wine is young, will decrease a little bit to let the place for the memory of the fruit again. It's exactly the opposite with the 2023. In 2023, very young, you test first of all the quality of the fruit, the fluent expression from the flesh of the fruit, and after a few years, the 2023 will be expressed will be able to express the terroir. It is exactly the potential of aging is totally different between these two vintages, of course, and it is very important to have these two vintages in your cellar to test in the future, in 5 or maybe 10 years, the quality of each vintage. Very different. First of all is the fruit and then the terroir for the 2023, and exactly the opposite with the 2024. It's first of all the terroir and then in few years the fruit.